We are, believe it or not, less than a week away from the first presidential debate of the 2024 election year. And folks, I think it's safe to say that I am equally both disinterested and a little fascinated by what is going to take place.
Unless they ask both of these men to draw a clock, I don't care.
That should be the first thing that happens. They should have the, like on Jeopardy, where they have the screens below and they have to write their names. It should be the name and then what they think a clock looks like.
Draw a clock.
Yeah.
What does a clock look like?
But yeah, what is going to happen when two doddering old fools step up to their podiums to huff, grunt, and groan at each other for 90 minutes straight, alternating back and forth between the candidates who have, in recent months, both shared numerous gaffes, mispronunciations, meandering trains of thought, and just general incoherence.
And possibly general incontinence.
If you are somehow unaware, Trump has had as many problems with public speaking, recollection, pronunciation, and general misinformation lately as Biden.
Yeah, it's two different types of sundowning.
Yeah, even when Trump is making jokes about Biden. Like earlier this week when Trump said that Biden should be forced to take a dementia test like Trump did with his White House doctor, Ronnie Johnson. A name that Trump recalled over and over, despite that doctor's name actually being Ronnie Jackson.
He was in the administration. That's fucking crazy. And he's currently a senator.
Ronnie Johnson, we know him, we love him.
He's like, these videos of Biden, they're calling him clean fakes. You guys know what a clean fake is. And a clean fake isn't a thing. I think he was talking about deep fakes.
No, there's a new term being thrown around that is cheap fakes. Meaning they're not altering the videos with AI or anything, but they're editing them in a way that makes Biden look worse than he is. Yeah. Like he was looking around to talk to one of the paratroopers the other day on a thing, and they edited it to where he was like, oh, he's just staring off into the distance at nothing.
It did look pretty ridiculous, but
yes. He does have
clean fakes.
Plenty of his own problems, but yes, it is noticeable that they're having to resort to what they're describing as cheap fakes to make him look worse than he is.
Clean fakes. They're called clean fakes, folks.
Yeah, and the fact that Trump can't even get it right is testament to his brain power currently.
So yeah, there's countless examples of Trump getting facts wrong, both intentionally and unintentionally. Slurred speech, incoherent ramblings, in addition to all the other types of gaffes that we previously mentioned, to the point where conservative media has decided to explain it away by just saying that Trump is just joking around.
People are talking about how Trump's losing it because Joe Biden's losing it too. Trump's kidding around. He's having fun. He's kicking about, talking about Hannibal Lecter. He's looking in the audience. He's playing around. And now people are going, Trump is losing it. No, he's having fun.
That's just Trump being Trump.
Yeah.
He's having a good time when these issues occur. And not at all, because Trump is also a very, very old man who is only a few years younger than Biden. It is very weird that the Republicans are like, God, look at this Joe Biden guy. He's old as shit, isn't he? I don't think you really, that's not a card you can really play.
Yeah.
In recent months, Trump has mixed up who the current president is, referring to Biden as Obama.
Putin, has so little respect for Obama that he's starting to throw around the nuclear word today. You heard that, nuclear.
Where's my wife, Mercedes?
He has failed to pronounce Venezuela. Vuvuzela.
Maduro, Venezuela, it's unbelievable.
He thinks Argentina is a person.
They went MAGA. Argentina, great guy. He's a big Trump guy. He loves Trump. I love him because he loves Trump. When he called, I took his call. Anybody that loves me, I like them.
He mixed up Nikki Haley and Nancy Pelosi.
By the way, they never report the crowd on January 6th. Nikki Haley. Did you know they destroyed all of the information, all of the evidence, everything? Deleted and destroyed all of it, because of lots of things. Like Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people.
Mm-hmm. Now, we're not saying that Biden doesn't have his share of gaffes.
Woo!
And when I was vice president, things were kind of bad during the pandemic. And what happened was, Barack said to me, go to Detroit and help fix it.
Just that it's a little scary how effectively Republicans have been able to paint Biden as the one who's experiencing cognitive decline, while Trump is having the exact same issues. They're both old as shit.
Having said all of that, it would be great if we could stop propping up literally the oldest possible options available as the next leader of the free world. It is patently absurd that we are essentially forced between two candidates who will be in their 80s during the presidency. We will get our first look at both of them performing against one another very soon because Next week, like we said, is the first presidential debate of the season. And it's coming a lot sooner than it typically would, but there's no primaries. There's no reason to...
Technically, the primaries aren't even done.
Yeah.
Coming before the conventions.
Yeah, which is
Very
odd.
unusual.
Trump doesn't even have a VP pick yet. He's also going to be sentenced for his 34 felony counts soon.
Yeah.
But it will be airing on CNN next Thursday, and it should be a little bit different from previous years, as both candidates have agreed to a few stipulations in an attempt to make this thing at least watchable.
No clock drawing. Don't ask me to draw a clock.
No. What I think, there's a couple things that make this palatable, I guess. I think the main one is that they're doing away with a live studio audience.
That's good.
Yeah.
I guess.
It is
That's
just-
always the most annoying aspect of these debates. It very much, and also the live audience, and then also like let's get a room full of the most brain dead Americans we can find and ask them how they felt about this. I mean, it's interesting. That's
That's
the average
definitely going
voter,
to happen
but,
afterwards, though, with just because what they do now is they're like, we set up a viewing party at a bar,
Yeah.
and then we talk to people afterwards.
And yeah, you're probably wondering, what about RFK Jr.? Was Zachary Levi's endorsement of the candidate enough to finally push him over the edge and convince America to give him a chance, despite being an obvious spoiler candidate who's riddled with brainworms?
Self-admittedly.
No, RFK Jr., he failed to qualify for the debate because he didn't pass the 15% threshold in certain polls. Nor is he even on the ballot in enough states to theoretically have a shot at winning the election.
Yeah.
He's just doing this just to have something to do.
I need more sponsors.
He's doing this to spend less time with his wife and more time around the ex-wife of that Google executive.
Yeah, even RFK has a VP pick, even though it's a very strange VP pick.
Yeah. Although the idea of 3 people on stage that you can't understand instead of just 2, that is appealing.
It would be fun to watch.
Yeah. It's just not in the cards for old RFK Jr., who is now convinced that the CIA is out to get him and is using the American news media to hurt his chances at becoming president.
Yeah.
Buddy, when the CIA wants to do something about a Kennedy,
They have ways
they
to do it.
usually are a little bit more lethal about how they go about it. Anyway, it's certainly not his fault for being so unlikable. So that leaves us with the other 2 guys, who will hopefully provide the country with a perfect example of why it's imperative that we somehow figure out how to embrace younger candidates. Please.
Yeah.
Let this be the last time we do this. Here's CNN with details on the upcoming debate.
The 90-minute debate will include 2 commercial breaks, according to the network, and campaign staff may not interact with their candidate during that time.
Not even to change their diaper?
Oh, no. Both candidates agreed to appear at a uniform podium, and their podium positions will be determined by a coin flip.
I hope it's one of them Trump coins.
Microphones will be muted throughout the debate except for the candidate whose turn it is to speak. And that is a recent development that
Yeah.
happened because of Trump.
Yeah, he kept interrupting everyone.
The first time this ever happened was in the last presidential election debates because he cannot help himself.
Yeah, he can't shut the fuck up.
While no props or pre-written notes will be allowed on the stage, candidates will be given a pen, a pad of paper, and a bottle of water. Some aspects of the debate, including the absence of a studio audience, will be a departure from previous debates. But as in the past, the moderators will use all tools at their disposal to enforce timing and ensure a civilized discussion, according to the network.
Good luck.
While both candidates are working to prep behind the scenes, the debate it obviously could go off the rails at any moment. And it'll be interesting to see which attacks the candidates go with. I mean, Biden could obviously bring up Trump's multiple felony convictions as a very easy attack.
He could, except his campaign has been bizarrely hesitant to even bring up the fact that this man is literally a convicted felon.
Yeah.
Like, the one thing you can say about Republicans and Trump specifically is they love spiking the football. They love racking up their wins and pointing at the scoreboard. And the Biden folks, it's like, Trump gets convicted of like dozens of felonies. First time it's ever fucking happened. And the next thing you hear from Biden, he's like, it's time to hold a press conference about the problems down at the border.
Yeah.
Like, okay. So we're just not, fine, great. Yeah. Anyway, Trump's attacks might be more difficult considering that he would probably aim at the economy and immigration. Now, on immigration, Biden, despite our views on the subject and the views of a lot of other people,
Yeah.
has taken what is essentially the conservative position on our southern border in recent weeks. He is more to the right than like George H.W. Bush. And yeah, I guess you could say he's caught Republicans in a trap earlier this year during what was supposed to be a bipartisan border bill. Republicans backed out of it so that, we can't fix this problem.
Because then Trump can't solve it.
Trump can't run on it.
Yeah, it was blatant.
Yeah. So on the economy, I mean, yeah, it sucks out there in many ways, especially for normal people.
Yeah.
But compared with, I guess, other first world nations, the U.S. has fared quite well coming out of the pandemic. And as we've seen countless times, many of the monetary issues actually stem from just corporate greed and companies' willingness to artificially inflate the cost of goods and services and just gouge the shit out of you.
Proven by the fact that now that they've milked every last penny out of people, they're like, all right, the $5 deals are back.
Although I heard eggs are back up. I haven't bought any eggs in a while.
Trump's gonna be running on the great egg debate.
I get my eggs for free from my in-laws who have chickens.
Yeah.
So I'm out of the egg economy. Now there's still a ton of issues, and one of the biggest issues when it comes to young voters is Biden's handling of the Israel-Palestine war, which has made him unelectable for a significant amount of voters.
Yeah.
Most, especially the ones in swing states like Michigan, who happen to literally have family back in Palestine.
Yeah. Also, the fact that Biden, despite how oddly friendly he's been with Netanyahu, keeps getting dog walked by Netanyahu.
Netanyahu's just like doing press conferences like,
fuck Biden.
Biden has betrayed us. We really should elect this Trump guy again. Who could have seen this coming? Oh, fucking anyone who was paying attention. And it's like, even if you don't have any opinion on the war itself, like I got to imagine for the average person who's even just slightly paying attention, it's a bad look for your president to be dog walked by a country like 1% its size, 1% its population.
After publicly, despite countless protests, has given them almost everything that they want.
Yeah, as Bill Clinton.
In the face of evidence that they've been committing war crimes and general atrocities.
Bill Clinton famously said behind closed doors during his presidency while he was dealing with the Israelis, like, who's the fucking superpower here? Remind me. Which one of us is the superpower?
It is legitimately embarrassing for Biden.
Yeah, dude, it's like, like I said, even if you have no fucking opinion on this war, it's just like, in principle, the US president should not be getting dog walked by the president of a country the size of fucking Connecticut. Come on. Anyway, it would be hard for Trump to attack Biden on that issue, considering how much worse, honestly, it would be under Trump.
Yeah.
Biden is giving Israel everything they're asking for. Trump would just nuke Gaza. Maybe not that badly, but
Jared Kushner was famously, like 2 or 3 months ago, was like, this is going to make a lot of great beachfront property.
Yeah, I don't think it's controversial to say that Trump's approach to this same exact scenario would be significantly more evil.
Yeah.
As hard as that might be to believe.
I mean, he kickstarted a lot of this by moving the American embassy a few years back when he was actually president.
Yeah, which was a thing that every president going back like 30 years like would say that he was going to do, would go to the AIPAC conference and be like, yep, we're definitely moving the embassy to Jerusalem. And then the second they get into office, like, no, we're not fucking doing that. Are you insane?
Well, he did it.
Yeah, so yeah, these choices, they fucking suck. What a great place to be in. But, you know, the election year, it carries on, whether we like it or not. And next week will be our first real taste of it since the Republican primaries early this year, which were kind of fun.
And yeah, essentially pointless because
yeah,
everyone
it's
knew
like
Trump
none
was
of these people are going to be president. So
let's just watch them
argue
make
amongst
fools of
yourselves.
themselves.
Also, I don't know, maybe we'll get a Trump VP pick soon, which like that's a very funny subplot.
Now, meanwhile, over in North Korea, Russian President Vladimir Putin was visiting his bestie, Kim Jong-un.
I literally, when I saw,
I thought it was
AI.
Yeah, I thought
this was AI.
So aside from reviving a mutual defense pledge, which is understandably making South Korea and other countries a bit nervous, they found time to pal around like a couple of old high school buddies, resulting in a completely surreal clip of Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin cruising around together in a luxury car in what looks like it would be the most horrific episode of Carpool Karaoke ever filmed.
What would they sing? Also, comedic dictators in cars getting vodka.
Yeah, these images could only be worse if James Corden was sitting in the back seat
Yeah.
goading them along into a song.
They should send James Corden to North Korea.
And Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, send him over there.
Here's the clip.
No return flight needed.
Yeah, here you go.
Wild. As for what they were
Did you
actually...
see the video of Putin on the plane waving?
No.
See, that one might be creatively edited because it seems like that, but like they're just waving to. It's the no, you hang up, no, you hang up, but in person and waving out of an airplane at their friend saying bye.
Putin, obviously a profoundly evil man,
Yeah.
but he is looking more and more cuddly these days.
I don't agree.
His cheeks are filling in. He's putting on some jolly weight.
I mean, I guess if you consider only physical appearance, but
Yeah, if you knew nothing about this man and you just saw like clips of him smiling, you'd be like, look at that jolly old man. I bet he dresses up as Santa Claus during Christmas.
No, in reality, he is a person who is getting more and more desperate for power and willing to do
like
things
I
that
said,
are insane.
A profoundly evil man.
Yeah.
But yeah, here we are looking at him and Kim Jong-un riding around in a car, being besties. As for what they were actually doing together and what that whole mutual defense pact means, here's the New York Times. Mr. Putin, speaking at a joint briefing in Pyongyang after the two leaders signed the document, said the pact called for the nations to aid one another in the event of aggression against either country. Mr. Kim claimed the new treaty elevated the two countries' relations to an alliance. Mr. Putin, speaking on his first trip to North Korea in nearly a quarter century, cast possible Russian military support for Pyongyang as a logical response to the West supplying weapons to Ukraine, which he claimed violated various international obligations. Russia, quote, does not exclude the development of military technical cooperation with North Korea, he said, threatening to support the ambitions of a military that the United Nations, backed by Russia, has been trying to defang for years.
And they add that his remarks appeared to come dangerously close to helping Mr. Kim obtain what he has long coveted and the West has vehemently opposed: acceptance of North Korea as a nuclear weapons state.
I mean, you don't have to accept it. They are.
Yeah.
They have nukes.
So yeah, it should probably go without saying, not to bring up Trump again, but obviously Trump has praised both of these guys multiple times.
I bet he saw that clip. He's like,
he was jealous.
oh,
I guarantee
come on,
you.
there's got to be room for one more in there.
Do I have time for a little trip to North Korea before the debates?
And he, like, his admiration for these guys is it's obviously, he's just like, oh, they don't have to, like, do democracy.
Yeah. They don't have
Like,
laws
they get to just rule.
Yeah.
That's the fun part.
Yeah, he has praised both of them separately and together multiple times. He's met with both of them under what appeared to be very friendly circumstances. And that is a very, very bizarre thing for a U.S. president to do. The idea that Kim Jong-un is embracing a closer relationship with Russia and their military, while their biggest U.S. ally is running for president and might win, should probably scare people. And it should, I don't know, maybe disqualify Trump as a candidate, but the Republican Party is way too far gone for any of that much self-reflection.
Yeah. Anyway, one more anger-inducing bit of political news for you today, and then we'll get into some more light-hearted fare. Like the anniversary of the OceanGate submarine disaster.
Yeah.
Fun. And Justin Timberlake getting arrested for DUI. Fun. Among lots of other fun things.
Yeah.
But we should absolutely point out how insane it is that the state of Louisiana has spit directly in the face of the Constitution that they claim to love by clearly dissolving the separation of church and state through a new law that requires classrooms in public schools to display the 10 Commandments.
Yeah.
I thought we didn't want kids learning about sex, and up there on the wall it says, "Do not commit adultery."
What's adultery?
It's a post. It has to be like a certain size too, so they can read it from any part of the classroom.
What does coveting your neighbor's wife mean?
And it's not just public schools; it's also public universities there too. The poster's gonna have to be a little bit bigger. If
What
those,
a ridiculous state.
Yeah.
So yeah, for all their talk of respecting the Constitution, conservatives, they sure love cramming their specific version of religion in everyone's faces.
Mm-hmm.
I guess freedom of religion and the separation of church and state aren't as valid as some of the other things mentioned in the Constitution. Probably should rank the Bill of Rights a little, Here's our top 10 amendments to the Bill of Rights.
Doing it like an
Number
old
1.
David Letterman bit.
I was doing more like 10 for the win.
Oh, okay.
Number 1.
Okay, friendos.
Then again, picking and choosing specific parts of a text in order to fit their very narrow worldview is kind of what modern Christians excel at.
Yeah.
They're very good at it, especially here in America. But with more on this, here's the Associated Press.
A bill signed into law this week makes Louisiana the only state to require that the 10 Commandments be displayed in every classroom in public schools and colleges, and stirs the long-running debate over the role of religion in government institutions. Under the new law, all public K-12 classrooms and state-funded universities will be required to display a poster-sized display of the 10 Commandments in large, easily readable font next year. Civil liberties groups planned lawsuits to block the law signed by Republican Governor Jeff Landry, saying it would unconstitutionally breach protections against government-imposed religion. Similar bills requiring the 10 Commandments be displayed in classrooms have been proposed in other state houses, including Texas, Oklahoma, and Utah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, one of the things that politicians claim is behind the reasoning for this, it's always protecting the children or some bullshit like that.
Yeah.
Ironically, though, as this bill was being signed into law by Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry, a child standing behind him literally passed out and fell down with zero concern from any of the lawmakers. So yeah, just one of those things where if you do believe in some higher power, you gotta admit, he's got a pretty good sense of humor.
Make that child in the background pass out.
Smited.
All right, moving over to DWI news. As you're probably already well aware, pop star Justin Timberlake was arrested for allegedly driving while intoxicated while in the Hamptons this week. And we typically wouldn't cover a story like this unless it was a politician or something, but it did result in one of the most unintentionally funny exchanges possible between Timberlake and the officer on the scene. A conversation that, once again, makes us feel old as hell.
I mean, yeah. I
Also-
bet it made him feel old as hell too.
Absolutely. Also, there's a second subplot of this where a Twitter account called Poo Crave, meant to look like Pop Crave, was just making stuff up, and everyone believed it because it was close enough to Pop Crave.
Interesting.
Anyways, first, as Elliot pointed out on Twitter, if you have Justin Timberlake money, why the hell are you driving yourself around, especially if you've been drinking?
Yeah, I don't know his exact net worth, but it's got to be in the millions, maybe tens of millions.
Even not-
if I had that money, I would never be behind the wheel of a car ever again.
Yeah.
Driving sucks.
Yeah, unless it's like a sports car on track or like you're doing it for recreation or
Right.
something like that, sure. But even outside of a dedicated chauffeur, which I'm sure that he could afford, he could get an Uber. And look, Ubers are no longer as cheap as they used to be, but they are still a hell of a lot cheaper than a DUI or the damage that it could do to
They
your
got
career.
Ubers in the Hamptons, right?
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they're very nice. You could probably take a blade from the restaurant to your
Yeah.
house in the Hamptons. And not to mention, obviously, there's a very clear issue with driving while intoxicated. You could hurt or kill someone.
Yeah, and also based on the police report, it sounds like this wasn't just like one too many. He was driving while fucked up.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, he got photographed for his mugshot using what appeared to be the best camera available.
Yeah.
And then was photographed in handcuffs walking out of the station. Now take this with a grain of salt, but here's page 6. We were also told that the cop who pulled Timberlake over was so young that he didn't even know who the 10-time Grammy winner was. He didn't recognize him or his name, our insider says. A second source adds, Justin said under his breath, "This is gonna ruin the tour." The cop replied, "What tour?" Justin said, "The world tour."
This is just the most, like, it's like written perfectly,
Yeah.
like a comedy sketch. This is gonna ruin the tour. What tour? The world tour.
Yeah, and then the first victims, Poland. His show in Poland is on the same day he's due back in court.
Yeah.
Sorry, Poland. No
Real
Justin
shame.
for you.
Now, in other news, can you believe it's been a year already? 1 year since that submarine went missing, with CEO Stockton Rush, as well as a few other rich assholes, and unfortunately at least one totally innocent kid, who almost certainly didn't want to be there in the first place.
Yeah.
Have we learned anything since then?
No.
Apparently not, considering that at least one billionaire is already planning another trip down to the Titanic. But we did get two sort of news stories this week related to the doomed OceanGate expedition. One from an investor who apparently had to lie his way out of a spot on that submarine, and another from one of the company's co-founders who is now organizing a brand new trip to yet another seemingly dangerous location. Now first, here's Business Insider with the story of the guy who almost went down with that ship.
Jay Bloom, a Las Vegas investor, says he was offered seats on OceanGate's Titan submersible, but got nervous about safety and lied about a scheduling conflict to get out of it. Bloom, who recounted parts of his story on Facebook soon after the incident, told Newsweek that OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush had offered them $100,000 off the ticket price for each seat. He said Rush also met him in Las Vegas in March 2023 and tried to convince him that the titanium and carbon fiber submersible was safe and could withstand the immense water pressure during the dive. All kinds of flags were going off after that meeting when he said there's too much money wasted on safety in the industry, Bloom said.
You're trying to convince...
No, it's safe, trust me. Everyone's always talking, oh, is it safe, is it safe? They're wasting all this money actually testing. No, it's safe. Get in the sub. Get in the sub, I'll give you a discount. Get in the sub.
Yeah, the I will give you $100,000 off.
Please, just get in the sub.
Plus the, this industry takes safety way too seriously remark. Yeah, I would say that's a red flag.
And he's telling me that it's safer than flying helicopters. It's safer than scuba diving and safer than crossing the street. Bloom told Newsweek that he and his son then made up a scheduling conflict and bowed out of the June 2023 dive. The Titan submersible set off to explore the Titanic wreck on June 18th, but lost contact with its support ship within 2 hours.
And, if you're thinking, hey, this guy has a good head on his shoulders, or maybe at least some good intuition. Well, buddy, you're also wrong about that, because the next few sentences get progressively worse in the funniest way possible. Still, Bloom told Newsweek that he might be willing to venture to the wreck of the Titanic if it were a Navy expedition or one guided by James Cameron. Quote, I'll put it like this. If Elon Musk...
No!
If Elon Musk called me and said, hey, let's go to space, I'd probably consider going, and probably would go because he's got the resources, Bloom said. But if you said, hey, I built a rocket in my backyard, let's go to space, I'd probably decline, he added. Same thing here.
I mean, with the James Cameron thing, I'm like, yeah, right on. I would trust no one more than James Cameron to take me to the darkest depths of the ocean. But then you got to bring Elon into it, and I'm like, no, sorry. You're getting on that one alone, Mr. Bloom.
Yeah.
I'll stay here at sea level. But speaking of people who haven't learned their lessons, one of the co-founders of OceanGate is already planning another dive. And despite this dive being significantly less deep than the Titanic, it comes with plenty of its own issues. Also, just at this point, you would hope that people, aside from experts who are conducting research or experiments, might just steer clear of submersibles for a little while, especially if the submersible has direct ties to a company that is responsible for one of the only catastrophes in that industry. This is kind of the only time something like that's happened.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, here's the Independent. A year on from the Titan submersible disaster, the OceanGate co-founder is organizing a trip to one of the world's deepest underwater sinkholes. Oh no! Guillermo Sonline, 58, co-founded OceanGate in 2009 with Stockton Rush, who died in last year's submersible implosion at the age of 61.
After leaving the company in 2013, Mr. Sonline co-founded another underwater exploration company, Blue Marble Exploration, and it has set its sights on a 663 feet previously unexplored sinkhole.
Oh, good.
Located in the Bahamas, Dean's Blue Hole is described by the company as being virtually explored, and anyone joining the first manned submersible dive to the site is encouraged to expect the unexpected.
Oh, God.
This sounds like Willie's chocolate experience, but with a submarine.
I hope the unknown isn't down in that sinkhole.
The unknown is definitely there.
It's the unknown.
Oh God, what's that out the porthole? It's the unknown.
Can you imagine being at the bottom of the sea and the unknown swims up?
At that point, I'd be like, all right, I got my money's worth.
I'd be shitting myself.
Yeah, at least if I get my jelly beans once I get up on land, then I'll be happy.
He lives in the walls and he lives in the sea.
Blue Marble Exploration's website says, locals believe that Dean's is a portal to hell, and the devil himself lurks in the black depths.
Oh yeah, let's go. Let's go right on down there.
I mean, why does everyone, mostly rich people, but why does everyone seem so dead set on tempting fate in the most ridiculous ways? Like, yeah, we're going down to Dean's, they call it the devil's portal to hell. Let's go check it out.
Why don't they just get into like parkour? That's dangerous.
Yeah. They're calling it Satan's asshole. It must be explored.
We got to go down to Satan's taint.
Yes.
And feel around.
Anyways, it continues.
Each year, several people drown in Dean's due to a variety of misfortunes. we fully expect to find human remains and prepare to handle those situations with proper respect for the families. Uncharted waters, unforeseen currents, extreme pressure, near complete darkness, and the remote location are listed as challenges for the trip. While the website says, join our expedition, it is not known whether this comes at a cost similar to the $250,000 OceanGate charged citizen explorers to see the Titanic wreckage. The ad for the mission reads, the next frontier for our team is in the underwater depths of Dean's Blue Hole. In the first descent of crewed submersibles equipped with LED lights and underwater drone technology, our scientists will be able to venture into some of Earth's least hospitable conditions in search of unprecedented findings. It is not known what type of submersibles will be used for the mission.
Oh, good. And you know what? I do think this is interesting. I think they should probably just send down an unmanned submersible to take a look around and gather up the remains. I also think that would probably show a lot more respect for the families of those people if they didn't turn it into a tourism expedition.
This is very much tempting fate.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? I think the whole world would be interested in seeing some of this stuff. Let's just send a camera down there. Instead, they have, that's the problem, is they have to get funding for this stuff. And so they're asking people to pay a bunch of money to basically conduct experiments. And that is funny because going back to that guy, the investor from Las Vegas, who Stockton Rush gave a $100,000 discount to, it is wild to see that is almost a 50% discount.
Yeah.
Of course that's gonna be a red flag.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of rich people probably saw what happened last year and they're like, well, RIP to them. But
Couldn't happen to me.
But I'm built different.
Yeah.
Send me down on the next one.
We all know lightning never strikes twice.
Yeah.
Anyways, one of the greatest storylines that I was going to talk about this week, but unfortunately they did end up losing a game, was the fact that during the Grimace era, the Mets had not lost a game in 8 games or so. And it was a fun storyline. You had Gay Grimace throwing out the first pitch, potentially having an affair with Mrs. Met.
Wait, I thought he was gay.
Well, maybe he's bi, and we should respect that.
Okay.
But regardless, it put the Mets on a winning streak, and they weren't doing so well. So it was a very fun time to be sort of watching the Mets from a distance.
Well, cool.
Yeah, can't wait for the next baseball storyline, because they're always fun.
Yeah.
Always a lot of fun.
A lot of great baseball
That's
stories.
what happens when you have 3 hours of gameplay in the sun.
And like
lots of drunk
263 games a year. Yeah. Lot of opportunities for things to happen.
All right, we'll be back with some weird news on Weekly Weird News very soon. But in the meantime, make sure you hit the like button. Please do it. Please smash the like button.
Come on.
You've been doing good. I think you can do a little bit better. If you're one of those people who's like, someone else will take care of it for me. No, click it right now. Also, make sure you're subscribed. This episode wasn't sponsored, obviously, so click the join button if you're feeling frisky, and watch our 2 previous videos over here. We got an episode of Tech News. We got another episode over here for you, and we have Weekly Weird News coming up soon. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.